application to Mr. Job. And thank you very much. Mr. Job, please.
Thank you so much, Nitin, and also to Dr. Chedana and Ananya and all the participants. I feel this is, thank you for giving this great opportunity, because this is the first time probably in a platform we are discussing the issues of health after a long time. And it comes in a very appropriate time of COVID, and also two recent global national reports have come recently. That was the SRS report on IMR and also the SRS report on MMR. Both came in this year, and it had a startling news for Chhattisgarh. Chhattisgarh, both IMR and both MMR increased. Almost all states, both IMR and MMR decreased, but in Chhattisgarh it increased. So I will be coming to that point. So in that context and the COVID context, this is a very good discussion. Thank you so much. Now I would request Ananya to have the presentation, the PowerPoint presentation. Before we talk on the PowerPoint presentation, I want to say another point is, whenever we are analyzing any indicator in the social sector, social health, whether it's the health, education, nutrition, and any issue, we normally use 5 lenses, because then only we will get a good perspective of the situation. These 5 lenses are the lenses of gender, whether female and male. Second one is regarding the SC/ST, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, OBC. Third one we normally use is regarding the income. Whether you are from the BPL family or APL family, then rural, urban, then the location. There are certain districts which are considered, where the burden is high. So we analyze the factors based on these 5 lenses. But what we are doing here, we are looking only through the lens of the rural. So that I want to make that limitation of this presentation. We are looking, we are seeing the health scenario from the lens of rural perspective only. We are not looking the perspective of the gender, caste, income, because when you use that, you will get an entirely different picture. For example, the life expectancy in Chhattisgarh is something like, say 65 or something. But for a scheduled tribe woman living in Narayanpur, who is very poor, who is in a rural area, in say a rural block like Orcha, so her life expectancy will be much lower than the general state level average of 65. So therefore it is very important to bring all the lenses, not only the rural aspect. So that's a limitation of this presentation. Now let me come to the presentation. The main point where what I want to talk in this slide is that there is a perception among everybody that health indicators will improve if there are more doctors, more hospitals, more drugs, more equipment. This is a general perspective, but that is not true. Yes, I'm not saying it's not required. Yes, hospital doctors are required, but that core health contribute to only 20% of the outcome of in health. The remaining, as you can see here, there's table. There's one third pillar. First one itself. First slide. I'm talking about the first slide itself. In that, 4 pillars are there. So only 20% of, if you have a good hospital, doctor, facility, then probably it will contribute to 20%. But remaining 80% are, if you want a better health outcome or well-being, then there are other indicators like poverty, gender, education, child marriage. There are sanitation, safe water, range of issues are there. So if we are not improving on the socio-economic factors, which is 40% of the contribute to the outcome, and behaviors which contribute 30% of the outcome, and 10% contribute to the environmental factors like sanitation, pollution, and safe water. If you don't address that one, we will not be able to achieve the health outcomes. So this is a very important point we need to keep in our mind. And most probably even in the health sector, there's a tendency to spend more resources in the tertiary sector, higher level sector. Even if that spending has to be done, that 20% it has to be in the primary care health, the primary care. So that's the main point. And now outcomes. Next slide. What are the major health outcomes for Chhattisgarh and for India? So we can compare the next slide, please. The slide it talks about this is a broad stroke of the major health impact level indicators of Chhattisgarh, and it also gives some compass with. So when you see this table, there are two points come to our mind. First one is in all indicators, whether it is a under 5 mortality rate, infant mortality rate, neonatal mortality rate, maternal mortality ratio, life expectancy. These are the globally accepted indicators for outcomes in health. So if we consider this one, the situation of Chhattisgarh is comparatively not very good compared to the national picture. So any indicator you consider, like for example, the under 5 mortality, it is in 45 in Chhattisgarh, only 40 in, only 36 in India. So any indicator, a Chhattisgarh indicator is much higher than the national average. That's the first point. Second point is, unlike in India, the rural-urban divide is not much in our indicators. The disparity between rural and urban is much more in India than Chhattisgarh is comparatively less. So it's a positive point. Third point I want to show, which I mentioned in the beginning, this year 2 major results came. The report of the Office of the Registrar General of India, which also conducts the census. So that report says the infant mortality rate of Chhattisgarh is now 41. It was only 38. So 3 points was increased, while in most states it decreased. So Chhattisgarh was an exception, and highest increase of 3 points. So 3 points in an IMR in a 1 year is considered to be very high. That's one. Another report came, that was about a month back. That is the maternal mortality ratio statistics. Again, Chhattisgarh figure jumped by 14 points. Only 2 other states, similar thing has happened. All other states and in India also is a decrease. So these 2 aspects also we need to analyze why in Chhattisgarh, why both the infant mortality rate, this is not only for general, it is also in the rural areas, it's substantially increased. As I said, the rural-urban divide in Chhattisgarh is there, it exists, but it is not as grave as in India. So now let us go, as I said earlier, when we are the major outcome indicators we have analyzed, there are certain indicators of nutrition, health, water sanitation, poverty, child marriage, all I said in the beginning, this influences the health indicators. So we will go analyze all this area one by one. So let us take the outputs of the health program. So next slide talks about some of the major, these are not impact level indicators, but these are, if this in the next slide please. So if the institutional delivery or immunization of children or the antenatal care, next slide. So in the next slide, those indicators are shown. So I think in the next slide,
sir, just a second.
So what I want to say is, what is the situation of some of the in the health itself? There are certain indicators. They also influence the major outcomes of health, which I mentioned is the IMR, MMR, under 5 mortality, and life expectancy. But if you analyze here, the 2 things again comes: the urban rural gap is not much. And when we compare to India, these indicators are not very bad. For example, we have a very good immunization, 76% full immunization, whereas in India it is only 62. Rural immunization is 74, whereas in India rural is 64, one only. So very good indicator we have got on the immunization. Same thing on family planning. For example, rural it is 53.6. In India rural it is only 46. So there are certain indicators which we are doing very well, even overall as well as in rural. But there are also some indicators we are not doing very well, like for example institutional delivery. These are all based on the NFHS 4 data. So this was taken about about 2005, 2015, 16. So it's all about 4 years old. But only 70% of our deliveries are happening in the hospital, whereas in India about 79. Our rural area is less, so that's an indicator we are not doing well. But by and large, I don't see much difference between the statistics on rural and the rural Chhattisgarh and rural India. There isn't much difference. You can't see much difference. So now let us see how as I said, immunization is another pillar which affects the health outcome. So let us see the next slide. We will see the nutrition indicators which influences health outcomes in a big way. Here also the indicators which influences the health are the malnutrition of children. This is the layman's language malnutrition. So malnutrition, there are 3 types of malnutrition, which is called anemia among children, adolescent girls, among women. I think Chhattisgarh is little better off. Less in a rural area and overall other areas also. Overall Chhattisgarh is also less. Now, some of the breastfeeding practices is another indicator which influences the health of people. So in the health, there are 3 indicators on breastfeeding practices. One is called the breastfeeding within 1 hour. Second one is exclusive breastfeeding for 6 months. So people and the complementary feeding. These indicators are also not very bad. So people should understand. That's the main message which I started with. There is a strong health per se. The core health indicator is only, as I said, 20%. The nutrition indicators like this contribute to a substantial portion of the health outcome indicator is depending upon whether the child is underweight, whether there is anemia, whether breastfeeding happens. This all are deciding IMR, MMR, and life expectancy. So by and large, I want to summarize this slide saying that the situation in Chhattisgarh with respect to nutrition indicators is as bad as in India. So, or a little better than India. So we'll go to the next slide, which talks about other indicators. Social, which is also poverty, sanitation. So those indicators are also influences the health of people. So we'll go to that indicator. Next slide is talking about those indicators. So this is one indicator which has strong element. The poverty is a strong indicator which has got influences the health outcome. That's very high in Chhattisgarh. 40% poverty, and overall poverty is 40%. Rural poverty is 45%. But compared to that one, the Indian scenario is very less. It's almost half. When in rural, 45% of the people in the rural area of Chhattisgarh is poor, below the poverty line. In India, it's only 25%. Now, there is another concept called multi-dimensional poverty. I don't want to explain. I think most of you know that the multi-dimensional poverty. It does not. The poverty concept, we normally take the economic concept of poverty, but multi-dimensional poverty considers a lot of other deprivations of the population. So that is also very high. You can see it is a 36%, 44% in the rural area, and in Chhattisgarh only 37% in India. So this is an indicator which influences health in a big way. Another indicator is child marriage. Many people used to tell me that child marriage is a major cause for malnutrition as well as for infant mortality. If child marriage is less, then these two indicators can be less. But luckily, it is not as high as in India. In rural area, we have 23% of the women, but this is a substantial number, which means the 1/3 of girls in Chhattisgarh is married before 18 years. And in India, it is about 31%. You know, what is the problem with child marriage? No, definitely it is a violation of the rights of the girl child. But besides that, when a girl is married before 18 years, there will be early pregnancy. And when the child brides are likely to die during delivery, during the process of giving delivery, and their infants are also likely to die, and those infants are likely to be more malnourished. So there is this child marriage. The understanding about the impact of child marriage on health is very limited. People think child marriage is an issue of violation of child right only, but it is a much more than that. In fact, it even affects the GDP of the state. Child sex ratio, that's the only ratio where I could not get the rural figure, but that figure is available. Child sex ratio, when it is declining across India, Chhattisgarh can be proud that it has got a very good indicator of 964. And drinking water, there's no much difference between the Indian rural situation and the Indian Chhattisgarh situation. There's no much exactly same. And toilet, this is a survey. I don't know how to believe this survey. This is a survey done by the National NSSO of Government of India. It was done about 2 years back. I think 2 years back, or 1.5 years back. As per that one, the access to toilet, the people using toilet in rural Chhattisgarh is 91, unbelievable 91. Access is 91%, and whereas in India, 71%. Now this is access to latrine. I could not add another data. That one was the people who have got latrine, how many are actually using it? That percentage is 95% in Chhattisgarh, rural Chhattisgarh. So access to toilet as well as use of toilet is about 90 to 95% in Chhattisgarh. Is unbelievable. Very ambitious. Indicators. So we have very good one, and another one is female literacy, especially girls' education and female literacy. It is little less compared to the national average. The female literacy is little less. Not 55. Not compared to India. Rural female literacy is 55 in Chhattisgarh, 59 in India. So yes, it is less. But another indicator is if the girls are attending school, not the primary school or the elementary school, are they in the high school? Class 9 to 10 and class 11 and 12, that's a good indicator. That is also not the same as India. So there is no much difference between those indicators. So the next slide talks about, this is a repetition of this slide, which I mentioned regarding the first slide. I think the last slide is on the importance of the convergence. So all this if health department, it's very clear that health department alone cannot cannot achieve outcome in health. So it becomes, I mean, when I say this one, it sounds a little strange, but the fact of the matter is health department alone cannot achieve the health outcomes. Whatever they do will contribute to only 20%. So if you do not work on other elements like child marriage, breastfeeding practices, nutrition, toilet, drinking water, women empowerment, these areas, if you do not work, so there is, I mean, so what can we do? What, I mean, we miss probably in Chhattisgarh is we need to have a strategy if it is a convergent issue. Is the department sitting together? All the departments I mentioned, I mean, beginning I mentioned there are so many departments and so many areas are deciding on the health outcomes. So we need to have a plan of action. The health department should be leading a task force or at the level of chief minister and asking other departments, how are you contributing to the health outcomes? By reducing malnutrition, by reducing child marriage, by increasing breastfeeding practices, by increasing the hygiene practices, by more programs for food security, by addressing the poverty eradication program. So it is spread over, it's a multi-sectoral issue. Health is a multi-sectoral issue. So can each department have to work, and that accountability to them, that have to be brought in. Now it is this, if you see this diagram, it is working in a silo. There is not much connection between, there may be some cutting edge of the village, Mithanin and Anganwadi worker and ANM may be interacting, but there are much, even if it is there, much more convergence is required if you want to achieve real results. Now, before I close, I want to add one more point. Whatever I said, whatever figures I quoted, is the situation before COVID. Now, COVID has set in. So the situations, the game plan has changed. So whatever indicators, what we mentioned, must have taken a beating. As per the Lancet report, which came in July 2020, the wasting is going to increase by 15%. And death of children, the under 5 death, and also the infant mortality as well as the neonatal mortality will increase by 10 to 15%. Poverty will increase substantially. One survey, one study done by Shweta Swaini, she says right now the poverty ratio in India is 20%. It will double to 45%. Chhattisgarh, it is about 40%. It will increase to 65%. Now imagine if the poverty increases from 40% in Chhattisgarh to 65%, it will have an impact on the health outcome. It may be a little exaggerated statistics, but World Bank report says that there will be about, about 15 million people will be, 12 million people will be pushed to extreme poverty. Extreme poverty is having purchasing power less than $1.9 per person per day. I mean, our poverty line is much lower than that one. So all these indicators, the malnutrition is going to increase, the child death is going to increase. We know the data that large number of home deliveries have increased. Normally we have about 15,000 home deliveries in a month. Now that has increased by 10,000 more because for various reasons it has increased. So when the home delivery is increasing, it will have an impact on women, their health, children's health, and a lot of other areas. So COVID has changed this game plan. And education, we talked about education. If schools reopen, if the delays in schools are happening, girls' education have got a very important connect. There is a correlation between girls' education and health outcome. So if girls drop out, so all the achievements we have gained in health, even if it is higher than in the national level, the IMR, MMR, or life expectancy, which I mentioned, these are the gains we have got after over a few years. So COVID is going to wipe it off unless we intervene on it. So whatever situation we mentioned, we have to think about it. And there is also the evidence we have seen globally all over the world. We have seen whenever there is a disaster, after disaster, child marriage increases, poverty increases, food security problem aggravates. So that also we keep in mind. So that I come to a mind. I come to a conclusion. So I will sum it up the my points. First point is that health outcome is decided by not by the interventions of the health department alone. Only 20% they can account. So other we need to 80% is contributed by other. So therefore a convergent way it has to be addressed, and a strategy has to be developed, and together it has to be monitored at the highest level of chief minister or chief secretary, so that there is a importance is given to that one. That's the first point. Second point I want to say is, of late, statistics is not good for Chhattisgarh. Both IMR and MMR has increased. We need to examine why it has increased, and also we have to see that is it a statistical error? It could be a statistical error, but both indicators increasing is abnormal. So that is my second point. And third point is regarding COVID. The game has changed. Whatever we have is not going to improve. It is going to aggravate, and therefore we need to act upon now. Otherwise, these rural indicators will further go down. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. So there is a question from the participants, and this question is raised by Sushmita Sen, and she is asking, in this pandemic situation, what are the steps that can be taken to reduce these statistics in rural as well as urban areas?
I think since many of the interventions have been stalled or affected during the last 4 months, we need to have a catch-up round for everything. There has to be a catch-up round in immunization, just like we do in the Indradhanush program was a catch-up round for improving the immunization. So all the children who have missed or left out the immunization, so we need a catch-up round for immunization. We want a catch-up round for education, because the learning has been disrupted. So for many months, you cannot start from March, third week we stopped. We cannot start from, even if school start, we cannot start from March, whatever we stopped at March third week. We have to start from probably from 2019 October, whatever the learning outcome. So we need a range of catch-up rounds, vitamin A round, immunization round, then the focusing on the IFA round. So many catch-up rounds we need to do with increased vigor. Now, when I say this, to do this one, we are depending upon three people: Mithanin, a teacher, a Anganwadi worker. What I am saying is, if you want to improve, not only in health, I strongly, this is a personal belief, that we need a cadre of youth in the village now. At least 10 per village we need. We have 20,000 villages in Chhattisgarh. We need a cadre of 2 lakh youth volunteers to ensure this catch-up rounds in health, education, nutrition, water, sanitation. We need to do. Without doing that one, our indicators will further come down. We need to address them. So that is the only solution I can think about.
Okay. So I hope the participant must have got satisfied. Now I would like to invite Mr. Nitin Devangan for the question.
No, I don't know about something on the how much is the GDP of Chhattisgarh. Did you check the correlation between poverty and GDP? Yeah, there is a there is no direct, there is a there is no relation, not relation between poverty and GDP. It has to be corrected as per capita GDP and poverty. There is some connection, but that correlation is not very strong. I mean, even if the GDP is low, per capita GDP, then there cannot be. When Kerala is an example where the per capita GDP is not very high, but there is some connection, some correlation, but that correlation is not better. What I said regarding is not the correlation between poverty and GDP. What I said is, there is some correlation between poverty and health outcomes. So that's my answer. Then what is this one? What are any other question? What are the steps? Then kindly share your questions here. Or difficult to complete the awareness program. So it's not the time of awareness is gone. I think we want action. So all the whatever is left out. If not immunized, we have to immunize. If IFA is not given, it has to be done on a catch-up round. Antenatal check for pregnant women have to be done. Then children who have to be then the examination, the HPYC program where neonates are visited by the health workers, that has to be intensified. The education system, the supporting parents at home and community on learning has to continue. Just putting some material in the online is not sufficient. We have to have, so there are a range of steps are to be done. Otherwise, as I said, it will be catastrophic. All our outcomes will be wiped out.
Yeah, Ananya, I have a question to Mr. Job.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So, Mr. Job, my question is very straight, and I guess I'm asking the best person who can answer, like none other than you. Sir, when this pandemic has started, so every state, every block and district, they were facing the issues. But we have seen like Maharashtra and Kerala basically started with number of cases. Later on, after 15 to 20 days, a month, so we were hearing about a Kerala model to tackle this pandemic situation, and it is written also that Kerala has tackled these issues very well. Of course, we all know in India, Kerala is having the infrastructure, one of the best infrastructure in the state. But what I wanted to ask in this particular context is that in Kerala, there is a community sensitization and community participation is also there when it comes to the health infrastructure part, and they play a major role in that. So how basically you see as a correlation how this particular engagement with the community and with the societal organization, how they play a crucial role in this scenario. So this is my question to you, sir.
Yeah, and in the one more point, before I answer into your question, I want to raise another point. The discussion now regarding COVID is COVID-specific pandemic. If you open the paper, how many number of cases added, what is the quarantine, isolation, positive cases, how much, what is the recovery rate, what are the facilities, equipment, PPE. I don't think, yes, COVID is a pandemic, but that narrative is very incomplete. The impact, the socio-economic impact of COVID, वो भयानक है, catastrophic है. Nobody is talking about closely. Yes, Kerala has got a very strong network, community support, and the health system very strong. But despite that one, they could not control it. At one point, Kerala was a success story. But then cases are increasing. My own house, where it is a Thrissur, there was no cases. Now it's increasing. So, and definitely the literacy, the awareness of the people, that plays an important role. For example, I can tell an example. When somebody is in quarantine, 3 people calls you every day in your home. Suppose you are come from Bangalore and staying in a quarantine. So you imagine that is the type of surveillance and monitoring the community is having. My relative, went by name, when he was in a quarantine, he took an auto and went to the market. After that one, after 1 hour, police came to his house. You know how? The driver knew that he was on quarantine. The driver informed the police. So that type of the community awareness, that the conscientiousness of the community definitely is helpful. But COVID is so complex. Nobody can say that we have been successful. And the moment you think that you are successful, the next moment there will be an outbreak of COVID. But then whatever Kerala is doing, suppose the steps what they have done, if they had not done that one, it would have been a big outbreak. Because unlike Chhattisgarh, in Chhattisgarh only people from other states come. In Kerala, not only from other states are coming, from Bombay, Gujarat, they are coming. Then about 1 lakh people from outside the country also came there. So they were all, suspects for the COVID. So they had a bigger challenge than even Chhattisgarh. Chhattisgarh, we have only migrants returning. So the danger was from the risk was from the migrants. So yeah, whatever that Kerala model, probably we don't have to emulate Kerala model. Probably we cannot have that type of oiled PRI system. We do not have community awareness, literacy. So there is no point in replicating Kerala model totally. But we have some other strength. We should be working on those strengths, not replicating what Kerala did. So whatever they did, probably we cannot replicate. Yeah, this one regarding.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, regarding livelihood, it's a big issue. ILO says, see, we have 50 crore in India. There are 50 crore workers. Out of the 50 crore workers, 42 crore workers are in the informal sector. ILO says that 40 crore out of 42 crore, 40 crore people working. So that means 40 crore families, their livelihood has been affected. Now, how can we compensate that type of livelihood? People don't have money in their hands. So the livelihood, whatever, Chhattisgarh is a state which has done extremely well in creating jobs. But that is a drop in the ocean. Through the NREGS, we were one of the state which created a large number of jobs. We have 40 lakh NREGS workers in Chhattisgarh. 40 lakh. And what we created in the first month was 40 lakh at man days, which means if all the 40 lakh are going, they would have got 1 day work. So there is a limitation of job creation by NREGS. So we need to find some ways, some innovative ways of creating jobs. Probably we cannot cope with the situation. Probably many of them have to go, but it should be, even if they migrate, it should not be a disaster, a distress migration, compulsion. So livelihood, there is no solution. In fact, there is no solution to the livelihood, but that issue is not covered. Thank you for raising this issue. This is not being discussed. Only that movement of migrants came, then people forgot. That's all. But what is the situation in our rural areas? The livelihood of people, how are they living? Do they have money in their hands? They may be getting food or tribal minor products they may be having. But how do they meet other needs of their life? for a quality life, how do they meet? There are many other expenditure other than food. Then one question, I did check the correlation with COVID. Did check the correlation with COVID death? Two factors contributed COVID death. They are population average correlate. COVID is a new. Nobody has done a much study in India regarding the death analysis of COVID. Is yet to be held in India. How did they? What was their social background? Why did they die? There's a medical reason for their death and as well as a social reason for their COVID death. So nobody has done I don't think anybody has done a death, what we call the death analysis. Nobody has done the COVID and then finding out what could be the cause, what's the correlation relationship with GDP, poverty, social, economic background, social, rural background. This have not been done.
True.
Now,
True,
regarding the question of village level volunteers, we have done it. It is not, I am not talking in a theoretical way. We had a major total literacy campaign. I was in Government of India and I visited Durg district. There was a very Zabardast one total literacy campaign of the volunteers were happening in Durg district as well as Bastar in many places. And it was led by volunteers. They did an excellent work. So we need to replicate. I said, this is a unprecedented situation and we want support of 10 volunteers in every village for at least next 3 years. Government of India, the Ministry of Youth Affairs have announced a program of creating a cadre of 1 crore youth volunteers and that is basically for COVID prevention. But what I am suggesting is not only for COVID prevention, for the next 3 years for rebuilding Chhattisgarh. It is a disaster. When a disaster happens, we think about, I have a huge experience of after Kerala floods, I was leading a team, UN team for developing the recovery plan. How to recover Kerala, how to rebuild Kerala after floods. So we need to think about how to rebuild Chhattisgarh from the impact of COVID. That's what we have to now think about it. And what is probably we will not be able to rebuild. We say when we are rebuilding, we have to rebuild. There is a strategy called Build Back Better, triple B. I don't know whether we will be able to do it. Even if we are not able to build back better, at least build back into the original situation. So our situation should not worsen before the COVID situation.
Thank you, sir. So, sir, I'll just take a question from Mr. Prashant Kumar. Is asking like how we can improve the human resource gap in rural and urban, poor physical infrastructure, seeking the behavior and inadequate healthcare utilization in Chhattisgarh during the COVID time.
Yeah, as I said, the infrastructure doctor is not a big issue. That will contribute only 20%, but the behaviors do. For example, last 50 years, washing hands with soap, UNICEF has been shouting from the top of the roof every year and nobody was listening to it. But washing such a simple step like washing hands with soap could prevent at least about 20% of the child death. Same thing with the breastfeeding within 1 hour of your birth. This is one of the best. This has to be done only once in the lifetime of an infant. Giving the mother's milk within 1 hour, which could have prevented 20% to 22% of the neonatal death. So, to do these practices, behaviors, how to ensure this set of whatever I said are all basically behaviors. So, how we can change this health-seeking behavior and I think we need a movement. Just like total literacy campaign on the movement for better health, nutrition, education, water behaviors we need to do, then only we will be able to prevent. So for which, therefore I said, I don't think the government system alone, this hospital, Anganwadi, school, teacher, Mithanin, A&M, doctor, they cannot address the situation. Therefore I said, we need 10 people to do all this and he should be accountable and we can give a recognition. It cannot be paid, on the monetary basis. We can give some recognition just like a community service. That's the only way of doing it. We cannot appoint more people. The funds are drying up. Our budget was 1 lakh crore in the this current financial year. This 1 lakh crore will reduce to 70,000 crore or 50,000 crore, because all this amount is coming from either the tax revenue collection or from a loan. Both will dry up. The international borrowing will dry up, ODA will dry up, the domestic collection will dry up. So we have to think about something without much money. Money is not going to come. So if we are talking about HR gap, filling up doctors, yes, there are doctors gap and everything, that is important, but that's not the most important thing to be done now.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Now I would like to invite Dr. Chetna Mehta to take this webinar proceeding further.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir, for a wonderful insight. So I am having one question. India is a country where the health of a woman is basically getting deteriorated because of the many rituals, or you can say the way the girl have been brought up. So I am just changing a track bit from COVID to the ground level. The way the girl has been raised into the rural area, or into a family which is a poverty prone, like giving a nutritional meal to a boy but not to a girl, following many rituals which is affecting the health and hygiene of a girl. So according to your experience from all this year, do you think is there any changes on this kind of prejudice and the rituals people are following, or still the same? What is your viewpoint on this?
Yeah, Chetna, very good point. I mean, that's what beginning I said. I mean, we are looking from the lens of rural, but I mean, had we seen the lens from the gender, the same presentation would look different. We are a patriarchal society, and change is happening, but very, 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 very slow. If you want to have a change, if you have seen the indicator I have mentioned about the women empowerment, because that, I mean, the empowerment of women in the life to take a decision right from the beginning of birth or before birth of the child to her marriage and after, the change is happening, but this is a very unacceptable change. We need to move very fast. So this one is actually UNDP brings in the report something called what are we losing by inequality, gender inequality. We are losing at least 15 to 20% of our outcomes are affected by gender inequality. So it's a lot of campaigns are going on, but I'm not very convinced about how much change is happening in our house. Is the husband washing, I mean, sharing work? I mean, in our own families, when we are saying, even our own families where women are empowered, we consider women are working, empowered, collecting good salary. But if we ask what is the real situation in our own homes, whether the husbands or for the father-in-law, do they help in washing clothes, cleaning the room, washing plates? Do they help? Yeah, many people tell me they also do. Yeah, once in a while they do, or a little time. But a woman, so even in educated, so-called educated urban families, I don't think there is a real, because that women empowerment has not come, because the way we have to break that patriarchal mode by which we are all brought up, both boys and girls, both you and me is the way we are brought up. It will take, I mean, I do not know when it will be gone. It is a long way to go. And I am highly unsatisfied. I mean, I can say unofficially, I mean, as a personal level, I think we are not making much progress. Although a lot of campaigns are happening in our cutting edge of the family, I don't think there is substantial changes happened.
Okay, so just my viewpoint, which I have seen a journey of a girl. when girl is into a fetus, then a mother have to sacrifice the milk because of all the steps which we are discussing, rituals and all these things. When the girl child take a birth, then she have to sacrifice for the siblings if he's a boy or a father. Then even a girl comes into a teenager, then also she have to sacrifice her health, her hygiene, nutritional value again for the same patriarchal family. And even after marriage, again the same cycle repeats. When she again becomes a mother, she again have to sacrifice the same. So what I am observing at a very ground level, when we talk about equality and all, it all works at a very high level or maybe a corporate level, but at a ground level, when people are actually looking forward for a everyday food meal, who are actually not having a sufficient income also, at that level still it's a woman who is suffering more from health issues. So what could be done into that? Yes, problem is there, but what could be done? What is your suggestion on
It
that?
is not. It's $1 million question. The change is. I mean, you agree to you concur with my comment that I do not know what has to. It has to happen in our own families, and it's not happening.
I mean, if we look at our own mother also, she will feed everyone first, and the remaining meal, or maybe sometime the stale food, she will take. So, sometime I think women also have to be aware about her own health consciousness, that how she can change her habits and take care of her own health. I think that starts from
Yeah,
there.
I mean, the only one solution. I mean, even if that solution after one generation or two generation, there are two solutions which is globally proven, which will break this patriarchal Armstrong bond. One is education and employment of women. If girls are educated, first one, two things should happen. And if they are employed if they are employed, these two factors, this alone is not going to change. I agree. There are many families this and too has happened, but still there is no empowerment of women there. But after a generation, now for example, we can see some changes. For example, in parents are giving equal preference for boys and girls. Young parents are giving equal preference for boys and girls. Young generation, to their own children, they are giving equal opportunity. Many families I know, they are dividing their property equally between boys and girls. They are giving same type of education. So it is a generational issue. It may take one more generation or two more generation, but the sure solution to that one, success story, globally we have seen, wherever girls have got education and employment, that patriarchal, that hold have been broken. That is the only way, and it's a long way to go.
That's really true. Thank you so much, sir, for wonderful
One
insight.
more, I want to answer to one question of Rajanandan regarding, he was mentioning वो जो awareness नहीं है गांवों में, ये जो उधर टीवी का saturation और mobile phone internet connectivity नहीं है, so how do they come to know about it? But somehow or other, I mean, I do not know. Rajanandani is there. I mean, I have traveled to Bastar in Narayanpur in 2 months back. They may not know the technical aspects of COVID, but they know that COVID is something. So they are blocking roads. They are not even permitting even outsiders to come in. इनका वो जो technical knowledge नहीं है, but that knowledge is sufficient. That there is a disease called COVID. How is it created? What is the virus structure? That they need not know. So that information is there. Even if there is no television, no internet, they have this information. That they are very effectively they are practicing it. They are very conscious about it. We also seen that when the migrants came, that our state adopted the quarantine center method. Why we started 20,000 quarantines to accommodate the migrant workers. In other states, the quarantine centers were not there. They were going back to their homes and staying in the village with the home. But there was resistance by villagers in Chhattisgarh So they were not accepting them in that home of that village. Therefore, we have to, so enough awareness on that the danger of COVID is there. Probably it is there more than in the rural area than in urban area. The way I see in Raipur, in the shopping malls and the market, the way people go without any precaution, I think the people in the rural areas are more aware of it.
Yeah. So I guess there is a last question which Anshu Kumar Singh have asked. So may I ask the question, sir?
Yeah.
Okay. So
I can read. I mean, among the three
Okay.
states, Chhattisgarh has the highest prevalence of spouse violence. I don't know this stat. Okay, spouse violence, as it means the problem of public health. Which has also mentioned it as being hidden pregnancy. It is a very, again, $1 million question. I mean, we have come to know that the domestic violence have increased. So if I mean, I do not know the statistics. If Anshujit is telling that already in these 3 states the domestic violence is very high, we can assume if it is 36%, it must have gone now 50%, because there are studies done in cities which shows that the domestic violence have the gender-based violence have increased. What can we do? It's a difficult, I mean, there is no, it's $1 million question. It's not, I mean, you can tell some theories, practical level, how we can prevent it, whether Mitanin can prevent it. There are systems like that. There are helpline centers, call centers, police action. I do not know. But I don't think these are solutions unless at our, this social norm in our family, there is something called social norm has to change. That can bring, that is a long drawn affair. Without that addressing by education and employment of women, then only that will change. It will take time.
Okay, so now I would like to invite Chetna ma'am to give shape for ending the webinar.
Thank you so much, Ananya. First of all, a very warm welcome, which I was not able to give at that time. So, welcome to the Taru family, sir, because the things don't end here, it begins from here. And it was a very great support from your side that you have saved your precious time and you give us the time for this particular session. It was a very wonderful insight what the theory is saying, what the programs are saying, and ultimately what actually is happening. So the way you have defined all the thing, that was very clear, very wonderful, and it was in a very simplified way so everyone could understand it in a proper manner. We are looking forward to coming up with more practical things which we can do for the upliftment of society, for the nourishment of our future, because of good health is the only way to have a good future, good mind, success in a life. I would also like to thank all the participants here who have shown the overwhelming response. They are participating, they are asking questions, they have the curiosity to know about the things which are going on around in the environment. So this is the topic which not talks about ourselves or the growth of an individual, it talks about the growth of society and a community. So very thankful to all the participants. I would also like to thank our founder director, Mr. Nitin Devangan ji, for organizing this wonderful webinar and give opportunity to share the knowledge. I would like to thank Ananya Susdevaji, our Vice President of Taru Foundation, for wonderfully coordinating the event. And of course, the great thing to connect with you and to call you for this webinar. Looking forward for more knowledge sharing sessions with you and anything which we can do as a society, as an NGO. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much to all. I mean, I enjoyed this presentation and the discussion and some of the very interesting questions, and for which we don't have an answer. Not, I mean, me or anybody, nobody has the, but that asking that question itself is very important. I mean, asking this question about this gender violence and the gender inequality, that itself is a good way of addressing those issues. So thank you so much for all of you, and especially the foundation.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you
Thanks
so
a lot.
much, sir. Have a
Thank you, Mr.
have a
Shaw.
great
Thank
time
you,
ahead.
Nitin.
Hope to
And
catch
please
you
keep
soon,
in touch,
sir.
Ananya, Chedana, and
Definitely.
Nitin.
Thank you, sir.
Definitely,
Thanks a lot.
sir.